Welcome everybody to Diamond Zone. Good morning, good morning. Wonderful Wednesday. We'll use that, right? We'll do Wonderful Wednesday. And I know there's people still logging on from all over the place, but as we continue, guys, this is Wednesday, and of course, we're in our second week of this pay cycle. And just want to remind everybody of the constant push that it takes to rank advance. And it really is, and you talk about a climb, it really is a climb. And it takes a sincere focus in order to go out there, and hopefully everybody has their goals set. But just to keep in line with this week, because we're building momentum, we're doing another business overview tonight at 6 o'clock, same link. But here's the invite, guys. I ask everybody to share this, get this into as many people's hands as you can. The guest count is going up every night, which is really good. And I think we're up to about, I think the number is 16,000 in volume since we started these webinars. So, you know, if you bring people on to the informational webinar and they've already been to first base, right? Obviously, we all know, right? Your percentages go way up if you could get there. So our job is to be professional introducers into the information. And this is just another way we're going to continue this as we make everybody makes their run towards rank advancement through next Tuesday. So let's build, guys. Let's really build momentum. And like I said, when I talked about yesterday, I was really emphasizing the importance of your rank advancement. And maybe you don't understand the power of it, but I'm telling you, it does a lot for your confidence, and it does a lot for your team to see their leader, right, rank advancing. It shows everybody it could be done. And that's really what it is, guys, because we talk about this a lot. You know, we always talk about belief, right? We always talk about belief and faith. Well, most people can only believe what they see. And if they see and their belief is based on you in the beginning, right, you got to give them something to believe in. In the beginning, words are not just enough. Or I should say, in the beginning, words are enough. But don't think people aren't watching. And when you become that person that steps away, and I don't care if you're hitting platinum. Okay, I mean, the $2,000 in your pay lake for some of you, okay, that's a huge accomplishment. And you got to wave that flag, right? Getting to team developer, okay, getting your two people who find two people, right, and becoming that team developer is an accomplishment. Because now, as I've talked about before, once you become a team developer, you are now that person people can believe in, that they know without a doubt you can help them get to team developer. Why? Because you've done it. And then when you hit the next ranking of $2,000, you now have your diploma, and you now have that belief system that you can help other people get to that ranking. And the same thing happens with platinum. But until you get there, you know what? Okay, we understand the game. Okay, we understand that when you get there, now you're just buying into other people's belief. So right now, I'm that belief source for a lot of you. Okay, because we've accomplished a pretty decent ranking. Now, are we happy? Are we stagnant? No, we want to get to our next ranking. Okay, you all know our goals. We have some big goals, but I do know without a doubt that everything this company teaches can help you rank advance. But it really goes back to, right, really looking within ourselves on what we're willing to do. What we're willing to do, right, over the next 6 days, right, 6 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right, and then part of Tuesday. Who knows? Who knows if they'll extend it another day? I don't know. All I know is I'm going to work to the last minute of the last day, the last second of the last day. because I know if I look at my career, if I look at my career in general, I'm not just talking about multi-level career. I'm talking about my career in sales in general. Do you know when we usually made whatever goal we set for ourselves? It was always usually the last hour of the last day. It always comes down to it. It's amazing how that works. Okay, it always comes down to really persevering and pushing through, right? That last bit, that last ditch effort. And this is what I want people to know. It's never, ever, ever giving up on your goals, ever. I don't care if you're brand new and this is your first diamond zone. If you believe you can and you believe you can't, you're right either way, right? You got to have that belief system. And I've been mapping it out the last 2 days is, first of all, understanding your numbers on what you need to do, right? And then now it's just reverse engineering and playing your numbers game. And I talked about yesterday, the numbers game can be improved by doing certain things. Go back to yesterday's call, right? They all live on YouTube. Go back to yesterday's call and look at what you can do to better your chances, right? To get people to want to receive the information. And once you get people that want to receive the information, it betters your chances to take them around the bases, right? Now, obviously a new person, when they first get involved, right, if all they want to do is get the information into their hands, that's okay. I'd rather have that than doing nothing. But you gotta really, 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 okay, start to look at what this business is really about. You know what it is? It's exercising your attributes. It's exercising your attributes for success. Okay, and as you know what it always starts with? It always starts with, right, that desire. Your desire is in your heart, and it's in your heart for a reason, guys. I want to tap into your desire today, okay? And I know you hear it from every speaker. Well, you must hear it from every speaker because it's very important. Because without your desire, without your burning desire and your why, right, you're not going to be willing to hang up from this call today and do whatever it takes, right, to make this thing happen, right? Because I know some people, their desire is just writing down a goal. Sometimes it's got to be stronger than that. Okay, sometimes it has to be maybe even beyond money. Okay, what is it? What is it that's burning within you? You know, some people, it's really hard to ignite desire. I got to be honest with you, right? I believe we all have an entrepreneurial spirit. I really do. But you know what I found? Mine was extinguished. Okay, mine wasn't allowed to flourish because every day I went to work, the person I worked for was trying to blow out my desire. They didn't want to fan my desire. They wanted my desire to be controlled. There's something called controlled desire. Okay, you know what that is? Here's what you're earning, so I'm going to control your desire because I know we can't pay you any more than what you're earning. In fact, I want to make sure your desire, okay, will accept less. Because every company that you will ever work for wants to get you to work as hard as you can so they can pay you the least amount that they can get away with. That's not fanning your desire. That's suppressing your desire. And when I got over here, I had to realize my desire was going to be created by what I saw. Because it is never ending. It is an unlimited desire that you could accomplish here. But that's a hard thing to reignite that desire. And I'm going to challenge everybody to ignite your desire today. Ignite it. Let it go. What do you want? Write it down. Write it down. If you could have anything you wanted, and it was just, if it was on paper, you could have it. Dream big. right? But there's got to be that one thing that really ignites it. Whatever that may be, I don't know what it is for you. For me, the desire was created of not having to ever go back and answer to somebody else. That's what fueled me. Because when I got away from that for a short period of time, I realized I was basically in jail. Now, don't get me wrong. What I went through for 14 years, okay, shaped me for the person I am. But I do believe if you're constantly striving, you're growing. And if you're growing, you're going to grow out of what you're used to. And all I knew, most people never grow. That's why they stay in that same job. That's why they're fearful of change. Because they don't know anything out there exists. You know why some people, when they get this information, they get so excited, they don't know where that excitement comes from? And all of a sudden, after they leave the presentation, you know what they do? They go, oh my gosh, that felt really, really good. It must be too good to be true. And they go right back to the very thing that they don't like. Because you know what we did? You know what we do in presentations, guys? We tap into their desire. We get people for that short minute, for that short duration that we have their attention to dream again. What do you think people dream? I want you to think about this. Could you think people wake up every day and they get into the car they don't want to drive? They leave the house they don't want to live in, right? They put on the clothes they really don't like. But you know what they do? They go through that motion because they're in their own hypnotic rhythm. And all of a sudden, right, somebody shares with them a 2-minute video and they spark a desire. And then they get on a webinar or they get more information. They go, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden, right, it takes them over. But you know what happens then? You ever sometimes wonder what happens to people? When they leave the information, right, they go back to their hypnotic rhythm. And it sucks them back in. So you know what we have to keep doing? Fanning the desire. This is why follow-up is so crucial, everybody. We have a window. And when you do the hard work that you do every day to get people the information and it does spark them, you know why some people go south? Okay? Because you could only keep that desire lit for a certain period of time. And then what happens is if the follow-up isn't quick, right, and we get them more information and we get them into the system and we get them around it, that desire goes away. This is what happens. And this is why I say follow-up is so very, very important. But if the desire is big enough, the follow-up will come. And I'm just sharing with you what usually happens to people. Okay, and what I'm trying to do is keep your desire lit every day. That's why we do this every day. Because I know what happens. I know a lot of people today, if I unmuted everybody, I'm sure everybody can tell me a story from yesterday if you were doing something where you had a negative experience. Right? I'm sure there was positive, but I'm sure there was negatives. Well, all of a sudden, right, if you keep getting negative after negative after negative, it's hard to keep that desire lit. Am I not right? Okay, well, I'm trying to keep it lit. I'm trying to let you know that the decision you all made is the right decision. But is it easy? No. There's always going to be another mountain. You're always going to want to make it move. There's always going to be an uphill battle. Right? And sometimes you're going to have to lose. Okay? Now, where does that lyric come from? Okay, now when I say lose, you know what I said, and I made this clear yesterday. I'm not talking about losing, I'm talking about disappointments. And the disappointments is where you really need to tap into your desire. So you got to create it, right? You got to create it. And two people that really, I believe, create desire, and I'm not leaving anybody out, but when you talk about, you know, you see Christina and Bruno, okay, I'm talking about desire. I'm just using them as an example today because they're on every call. I don't care if it's 2 in the morning. I don't care if whenever it is, right? They're there, right? They have an unbelievable desire, and they're the only ones in their country. And they have to tap into it. And I know without a doubt, if they're not plugged in, it's really easy to quit. And a lot of you have this desire on this call. You're on it every day, right? I could go through name after name after name, okay? Because this is why I always do. I've always wanted to do consistent because I want to see who else is consistent with me. Do you know how I know how many people I have in my group? I just look at who's on I look at who's on Diamond Zone. I look at who supports the webinars, right? Fran has never missed one. Okay, she has a desire, she has a commitment. But if you ask these people, right? If you ask these people that are consistent, okay, all the people that we have on these calls, and like I said, I don't want to leave anybody out. I believe anybody who's consistent has that desire. But you got to transfer your desire to your group, guys. You're not going to build this and rank advance by yourself, right? You got to get other people's desire lit. So you got to be willing to do what most people won't do. Talk about the secret to success, willing to do what most people won't do. And the will comes from what? The desire. If the desire is there, the willingness will come. The figure it out attitude will come. It's willing to do what? It's willing to put yourself out there. It's willing to let people know, yes, I do multi-level marketing. It's willing to go through your numbers. It's willing to be a good promoter. It's willing to commit to personal development. Wow, Jeff, this sounds really hard. Well, welcome to wealth. If wealth was easy, we'd all be wealthy. But you know the hard part is tapping in and keeping that desire lit against all odds. That's what separates the 98% from the 2%, or I should say the 2% from the 98%. They're willing to do what most people won't. They're willing to set a goal. They're willing to put themselves out there and say to the world, I'm going to get to this ranking, this pay cycle. And I'd rather have tried and failed than never have tried. Proclaim it. Say it. I'm going to be this ranking by Tuesday. And then go out and go all in. That's how you do it. And what's the worst case scenario? If you put forth maximum effort, you've added what? 6, 8, 10 new people in a week? Wonder what happens the next pay cycle. Because now you have a team. Some of you don't have a team. You got to get the team going. You got to be willing. You got to be willing, right, to get people the right information. You got to be willing to have the tough conversations with people. You got to be willing to let everybody know that your heart is right. And sometimes those are tough conversations. Okay, but I want you, forget about your group right now. I want you to be the one that has the desire. I want you to be the one willing to do whatever it takes. Don't just be this dictator and telling your team what to do if you're not doing it. That's not what this is about. It's leading by example. It's leading by example. It's being the top recruiter in your group. If you have a group, who leads your group? Well, you better. You're leading your group. You got to be that one, that person that does it. And when that happens, guys, when that happens, sorry about that. When that happens, then here's the big three. Having the desire to be willing to do whatever it takes, but also being teachable. Being dumb enough to be smart enough to listen. Now, this one's tough, guys. This is where the tough conversation sometimes comes in with people, okay? And if that trust factor isn't here, or the respect factor, right? Ego is going to take over when it comes to being teachable. Let me tell you why. Because a lot of people may have experience. And if they have experience, they want to do it their way. Let me tell you the experience where it really comes in. It's not from the comp plan you came from. It's not from the program that they executed. Being teachable is somebody that's committed to personal development. See, that transfers. The personal development you've learned in this industry, if you've ever been involved, that transfers. But I will tell you guys, okay, that nobody is going to want to give you wrong information. That would be a pretty dumb decision, right? Let's teach everybody to do things that we know won't work. Well, Jeff, this doesn't work. Well, that doesn't work. And I'm going to do it this way, and I'm going to do it my way. And my team, okay, is going to be separated from your team. And my team is going to do things different than what the company's doing. My thing is a secret thing. It's the only one that works. Really? Well, can you show me one person that's hit a ranking, okay, beyond, gotten to the president level with your system? See, it's being teachable. I'm just letting people understand, okay, everything this company teaches, 557, it works. I've just incorporated, okay, what my knowledge has been for 24 years. This training I'm doing, I've done it with 3 other companies. It's the same training. Okay, well, why? Because personal development is not different no matter what company you go to. Comp plans change. Products change. But teaching people the people business never changes. How do you think that these professional speakers like Tony Robbins, right, or John Maxwell or Zig Ziglar can go from company to company, different companies with different comp plans with different products? But you know when they get on stage, okay, it's the same message. Why? Because they're dealing with people. Do you think it's a different speech because they're talking to Allstate, okay, versus Walmart? No, it's the same thing. Do you think they talk about the product? The product is people. And when you understand what your product really is, right, then you could take your skill set anywhere. I've said it before, once you learn the people business, you can never be broke. But who's the first person you really have to know without lying to yourself? It's you. It's really tapping into yourself and going, do I have the desire? Why is it every time I get off a call, I get excited during the call, but afterwards I really don't do anything? And I'm not saying that's you, but if you are that person, have you ever asked yourself why that is? Where does that come from? Well, you got to tap into your desire. It always goes back to the desire, guys. I'm going to say it probably 50 times today, but that is what is so important. And you got to create it somehow, whatever that is. I've given you tips along the way in Diamond Zone, how to create desire. You know why most people go to work? Fear of loss. People don't go to work for desire to gain. They go to work because of fear of losing what they don't even want. That creates the desire for them to do and execute their schedule that they have to do every single day. Whatever it is, 9 to 9, 8 to 5, whatever it is, why is it you do it? Fear of loss. Well, maybe you have to create that fear of loss for yourself over here. If that's what's worked for 20, 30 years, maybe that's what you have to do over here. I don't know. But you got to create that desire. It's got to come from somewhere. And in a lot of cases, it's money. Okay, I have to earn money, which creates the willingness to do the work. And then, like I said, then falling into the system. Are there different ways to skin this cat? Absolutely. As long as you're talking to people, right? Now, there's different things you can do that betters your chances, and we talk about that the last 2 days. But you got to be teachable, guys. Okay, there's no way, okay, I'm going to ever in my heart, that would give you something that doesn't work. This all works. Because what happens is, when you really exercise your attributes, you tend to take a leap. And you know what the leap is? It's becoming self-reliant. It's knowing if it's if it's going to be, it's up to me. If it's going to be, it's up to me. That's being self-reliant. I'm taking responsibility for my business. In the beginning, I'm going to take responsibility to be part of somebody's team. But eventually, I'm going to take responsibility and I'm going to take what I've learned and I'm going to teach it down to my group. The buck's going to stop with me. See, in the beginning, I borrowed everybody else's belief. I was part of their system. And I always support the upline system, no matter what. Who's the first person on Chad and Atita's call? I am. I'll be the first face on that call. Okay, who will be on when Taylor Worry does his call today at Wednesday, the update call? I'll be there. If Jeremy Roma decides he wants to do a training, whenever he decides to do trainings, I'm on those calls. I'm always respectful to what I know has put this whole thing together. But I still, don't I have my diamond zone? Of course I do. Don't I have my calls? Why? I understand I got to always create that desire for other people moving up into the ranks. And then as other people buy into this, maybe it's 6 months and they go, you know what? I got it. I'm going to take responsibility for my business. I'm going to take responsibility that if people have questions about back office or about customer service, I'm going to have them call me. I'm going to put out those fires instead of calling Lisa Giamalva. I'm taking responsibility. I'll take the responsibility to get the answers for my team. Right? Talk about growing up. This is when maybe you're the rebellious teenager, and then all of a sudden you grow up and now you're out of the house. That's being self-reliant. And everybody has their journey. That's why we have consistent trainings, because I know there's new people that enter into the business every day. I'm trying to fuel just their desire. You wonder why we repeat trainings? Everybody's at a different level. And it makes no difference how many times you guys already heard this training. But if you're taking the journey, you're hearing different nuggets you didn't hear the first time you heard the training, because you're at a different understanding. Does that make sense? And if you're at a different understanding, then all of a sudden, it's amazing. I think it was maybe the 56th time I saw this training. And all of a sudden, there was one nugget that made such a difference for me that I didn't hear the other 56 times because I wasn't at a point to hear that. You understand? This is why you have systems. But being self-reliant is taking responsibility. I'm going to take responsibility, and I'm going to proclaim that I'm going to be a platinum this pay cycle. And I'm going to take responsibility, and I'm going to figure it out. Well, why are you going to figure it out? Because my desire is such that nothing is going to get in my way. I don't care what I have to do. And I'll let you fill in that blank. But I'm going to figure it out because I'm going to rank advance. No matter what I have to do. That was one thing that stuck in my head. When the person that I used to work with said to me, figure it out. Well, I need this. I need that. Figure it out, Jeff. But I'm telling you, I got to get this rank. Okay, I'm 4,000 short from this next ranking. Figure it out. Got it. Got it. Figure it out. I've always lived by that. Figure it. You know how many things we've had to figure out? Let me ask you all a question. How many things in your life have you had to figure it out? Well, did you figure it out? Well, you're not living on the street, right? There's certain things you had to do to figure it out. Well, this is no different. This is no different. This is a business. How many business owners every day have to figure it out? They got to play the shell game, right? Certain things get paid, certain things don't get paid. You juggle. That's figuring it out. Well, there's a certain element to that when you're building anything. Got to have that figure it out attitude. Well, it's only going to be there if the desire is big enough. Otherwise, you know what? I'm good. My bills get paid. I don't have to really make World Global Network work. I'm just dabbling in it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Well, it's kind of funny. Yeah, that's how your paychecks go. If they come, they come. If they don't, they don't. Oh, an extra 1,000, okay, or an extra 2,000, or nothing. Really makes no difference. I'm good. I don't need this. I don't need to hear. I don't need to put myself out there. Okay. Well, that's how your business will always be. Why do you think people who buy a traditional business figure it out? Can I tell you why? In most cases, they've created a fear of loss for themselves because they probably put their life savings into that traditional business. They may be borrowed from other people, right, to support their desire. And they were really good at it. Listen, I'm starting a traditional business, and they raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, do you think that might create a little desire and a figure it out attitude? Well, see, over here, most of you can't possibly put enough money in the game to create the desire. What's the most you could put in here, really? Right? If you look at the comp plan, it's buying a platinum, right, or premium and Biozen. Who's going to be a street person if they lost $3,400? But let me ask you a question. How do you lose it? It's inventory secured. The only way you could lose it is if you bought it and just put it in the corner. Well, we're trying to create that desire, whatever that may be. It may be money for you, but it may be something else. I told you what it was for me, right? It was the fear of going back to being in a prison, which was called corporate America for me. That created enough desire for me to treat this like a real business. So guys, be self-reliant. And then you got to be driven. You got to be driven. Okay, have you ever gone to an airport or to a mall and you just sat there and you just watch people? I love doing this. And I watch and I listen to conversations. I see how people use their hands. I see how they walk through the airport, some with a purpose, right? And can't you not identify people who are driven and who are determined? I could tell by the way they talk. I could tell how animated they are, right? I could tell a lot about a person if you just watch. You got to be driven. Driven's in the hips. You see where it is? For a reason. You got to get up every day and do something. Well, in order to do something and to be willing to do whatever it takes what? It all goes back to desire. I got to be driven to hit my goals. Do you have your goals today? If this was a job and I hired you and your job was to make sure, okay, your job today, if I'm going to pay you your salary today, let's say your salary was $500 a day, and your job today was to make sure you had 10 people on my call. You had to have 10 people to get your $500. Would you figure it out? Would you be driven? Well, why not play that game? Wonder how much money you would make if you put 10 people on the call today. Oh, but it's different if someone's paying you. So I wouldn't give you the $500. If I was employing you, I wouldn't give you the $500 unless at the end of the call, right, I would have my secretary on the Zoom meeting and looking at all the names. And you already submitted the names. You said, Jeff, these are all of you the people on the call. And I'd say, here, secretary, make sure these people are on the call before I give this person the $500. See, that's holding you accountable if you had a job. But since no one's paying you and there's no desire, right? If I have people on the call, I have them. If I don't, I don't. You're not being driven. So you got to play this game. So here's $500 if you get 10 people on the call. So that's being driven. That's being determined. That's setting goals. And then you have to be directed and aggressive. Directed. Directed to what? You ever go to a mall, right? And you say, well, I'm looking for this store. And you know that big map in the mall? How can you figure out, right? Now you could walk the whole mall to find that one store, or you could go to the big map and find out what? Here you are. Remember that map? You are here. Unless you know where you are, you can't get to where you're going. That's being directed. Well, what do you think this is for? Diamond zones, to direct you, to show you the necessary things to better your journey. You got to be directed. Well, unless I have an end goal, what am I directed to do? This is why people aren't directed. They don't have an end goal. They don't know what they're doing this for. They don't have a desire. They have no written goal. Okay, but if you said, listen, I'm going to be platinum and I got to have $5,000, and you have your board and you have your points associated with every deal that comes into your organization, and you're tracking it on a daily basis based on what you're doing and based on what's going on your team, that's being directed. And every day you go to your board and you put, like you would in any other business, the volume that came out of each one of your franchises. What's your franchise here? It's the people involved in your business. Bruno and Christina are a franchise for Jeff and Lisa. They're another McDonald's. And I look and go, okay, what did my Christina and Bruno franchise do yesterday? And I'll get their numbers. You know, I used to call every single health club every day. Every single day. When I was a supervisor, not vice president, I oversaw 10 clubs. When I was a vice president, I oversaw hundreds of clubs. But when I had my 10 clubs, I would call them every night and go, what's your number? Well, Jeff, you know, it was a tough day today. We only did 2,400. Well, I had a goal that I had to do $100,000 in business a day. I had 10 clubs. So didn't each club have to do 10,000 for me to hit my goal? It's a business. Every time a person is added to your team, it's a franchise. Some franchises just buy a single helo. They're not going to produce much. But there's other franchises that will produce millions of dollars. So when that person said to me, I have 2,400, I knew that person had to do 10,000. So I would say, oh my gosh, we're 7,500 short there. We got to make it up tomorrow. Is this making sense? You got to draw it out. You got to map it. You got to know, okay, what you would have to do, first of all, you, and then what the team has to do in order for you to hit platinum. I'm just using platinum. Does that make sense? So Bruno and Christina are an entity, a franchise for me. Fran's a franchise for me. Shaylisa and Tim are a franchise for me, right? Dawn Marie, Bill, Dave, these are all franchises. That's how I look at people that say, Jeff, I want to build this. You're a franchise. Well, if my franchise has to do 250,000, I have to map out where it's going to come from. And it's not based on just what my franchise does. It's a subtotal of all my franchise owners. Are you looking at this maybe a little bit differently now? That's our business. Each person's a franchise. Some franchises, because of location, right, they don't produce a lot, or because of their desire. And some franchises produce 80 to 90% of the volume. But I want you to do the same thing as you go out there, right? And you add new people. You got to find out, is this going to be a small location? Is this going to be a huge location for me? Well, that goes back to what we always talk about, finding people's desire. If I find somebody with a large desire, they could do millions of dollars worth of volume from me, their franchise. That's being directed. And then you know what aggressive is? Being aggressive, not with attacking people. I'm going to say that again. Being aggressive, not in attacking people, aggressive in your goals. Aggressive in your pursuit to your goals. That's what I'm talking about. Urgency. Urgency. See, I'm trying to shake certain people. I'm trying to shake the people that go, you know what? Why is it I'm not doing this? You're not aggressive. Aggressive in your follow-up. Right? Aggressive in putting together your list. Aggressive in making sure your list gets the information. Whether it be through a phone call, through a text, whatever that is. Being aggressive in making sure they've watched the 2-minute video. That's what I mean by aggressive. And then persistent and consistent in doing it. Persistent and consistent. Consistency. Consistent every Monday through Friday. Consistent webinars. Consistent Zoom calls. It's the same thing every day. Consistent. Do you think that person who gets the gold medal is inconsistent? They're consistent in doing the same routine every minute of every day at 4 in the morning on the beam with the same routine for 10 years. And they're just perfecting their moves. And they're perfecting the landing. But same routine, right? Same pool every morning at 4. Trying to better a stroke or better a shot, okay? Or in golf, perfecting their swing. Consistency, 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 consistency every day. Every day. That's it. There's your attributes, guys. Those are the attributes to success. And when you take it and you exercise these attributes, you then take on the face of leadership. Now, you're the reason you will. In the beginning, everything else has to be right. Right? That's where the blame game comes in. Well, this isn't right. Shipping's wrong. That's wrong. That's this. This is that. We're not getting answers here. Okay? But when you take on the face of leadership, right? None of that bothers you. You're the leader. I'm taking responsibility. All that stuff, that happens in any business. Any business. But you know what? I've taken on the responsibility to lead my team. And it's a consistent effort that's worth duplicating. Remember, everything that the message we're trying to send is that anybody can do this. It's duplicatable, right? And this is where you need to remain teachable. All I do today on these types of calls, okay, because very rarely do I get into the product, very rarely, never. I really very rarely get into comp plans. I just talk about all the different things, okay, that's going to make you go out there and figure it out. That's it. That's all we ever do, guys. So I appreciate you guys on this call every day. The journey you're taking is a worthwhile journey. But understand the value of this journey. Okay, if you treat it like a real business, guys, you could set yourself up for financial freedom. But there's got to be that time where that light bulb, that switch goes on and you go, I got it. Man, maybe this was the call that sparked your desire that you'll look back at. Just write down the date. Maybe this is the call you'll look at back, and 5 years from now you go, I remember when my desire was lit. Do you know when that? You know why that will be important? Because you'll share that with your team. Because every time you bring in a new person, you're trying to light their desire. That's all you're doing. It's not about a 2-minute video. It's not about a helo. It's trying to light their desire. That's what it is. If you light someone's desire, it doesn't matter. You could give them a widget. They'll make it work. So understand what really makes this thing work. It's that desire. Appreciate all of you. Thank you. And remember, tonight, guys, 6 o'clock, promote, and share that link. Talk to you guys soon.